Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR today, November 17th, 2021. It's Wednesday. It's the man they call Meathead, and it's Matthew Thomas. Aloha, Matthew. Welcome back to the United States, or at least the Continental 48.
Oh, well, thank you. It feels good to be back stateside once again. And I've since I came back, it now gets darker an hour earlier, which is taking some adjusting to getting used to. And but wrestling comes on at a much more normal time here than it did the last week.
You're not watching NFL football at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Not quite, not quite. But
oh my God! If you would have been in Hawaii during the London games,
you
would have been watching that late Saturday night.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Time and time zones and daylight savings and Eastern and Pacific and Mountain and Central and all the other time zones they're strange things, man.
That they are. But you know what's not strange is how our friends at Collar and Elbow take care of us. Tell us about it.
No, it doesn't matter what time zone you're wearing collar and elbow in. If you even own time travel technology, you could go back and wear that in the Middle Ages, and it would still really be a fashionable.
You'd be statement. Over in England in the Middle Ages.
Yeah, you'd be the talk of the town with your collar and elbow gear. Right. And I guarantee you go to the future, man, wear your collar and elbow gear. They are going to, love that as well. If you want to wear collar and elbow in the past or the future, or even the present for that matter, collarandelbowbrand.com, promo code Linda K, LINDAKAY. It saves you 10% for some plutonium for your time machine.
I was watching Demolition Man today, Matthew. Have you ever seen it? Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes.
Don't think so. I think that's one of the few time travel movies I haven't seen.
It wasn't any time traveling, but it was one that was technically set in the future. Taco Bell was the winner of the franchise wars, and everything was Taco Bell. Well, we're only 10 years away from it being the time during the movie in Demolition Man 2032. We're close. They might look at you funny. You might be Dennis Leary, wearing tire treads on your shoulders as shoulder pads. So.
Yeah, you gotta do what you can when you go ahead in time.
All right, let's stay back in time from last night, but let's talk news first. Okay, Randy Orton this Sunday in the future will set a new WWE pay-per-view record. I didn't know that this was something that was tracked, but I find it actually pretty cool, and I hope it gets mentioned in commentary. Currently holding the number one spot is Kane at 176 pay-per-view matches. Now, Kane's is a little unique, right? Because as Kane, as the Big Red Machine or Glenn Jacobs, Kane, whatever, 170 matches. As Fake Diesel, he had 3 pay-per-view matches. Yeah. As Isaac Yankem in DDS, he had 3 pay-per-view matches. So that's his 176. Randy Orton also at 176 will have his 177th match this Sunday at the Survivor Series.
And we're going matches, not just appearances, correct?
We're going matches.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, that's it makes you feel a little old, man, going back to the days of Randy Orton as a young whippersnapper and getting dropped by.
Not that old, because this dude, I mean, besides, a couple minor injuries, which were major, but he made them minor. Yeah. Randy Orton's been there. He's been consistently working.
And it's close to an apples and apples comparison because you got to think about the bulk of Kane's career. Outside of some early work as Isaac Yankem was when they were getting into, close to monthly pay-per-views. So it's a pretty close apples to apples comparison there. So, Randy Orton, I think it says a lot about his, consistency and his ability to, stay uninjured.
Now, Kane will hold number 2 after Randy has his match. But do you know who number 3, 4, and 5 are? We're pretty sure number 3. We're pretty sure number 3 is not going to have another match because he said he retired and he got last year's Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Send off.
So 3 would be Taker. 3 would be Taker, I presume.
Yep, a man who's supposed to be running NXT, but I mean it's just a shit show right now. Triple H, 173, and there could be another match in there for him. So who's to say he doesn't tie with the Undertaker? At number 5. It's the Peacemaker, John Cena, 163 matches.
Yeah, and I think that might be a little fluid. I mean, Cena's definitely on the backside of his career, but I think we're going to get some Cena matches from time to time. Yeah.
I wonder if the pay-per-view counts as pay-per-view being shown on the network. Remember, like with the PWR draft, that doesn't mean it's tribute to the troops. That doesn't mean it's, TV specials, pay-per-view propers. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, hey, Randy Orton about to set the big record this Sunday. Let's speak about another person who's been on pay-per-view in Impact. He's been on pay-per-view in WCW, NWA, and WWE. It's the Nature Boy. Woo! Ric Flair. He is starting up a podcast again, and he wants to know in this podcast, what has CM Punk and Bryan Danielson contributed to AEW? I think he's been on Ring of Honor, too. If I'm not mistaken, he's had some appearances there.
Yeah. I mean, I think AEW, the format has changed a bit. It used to be much more of a mixed bag, much more of a smorgasbord as who you were going to get week to week on Dynamite. And, and now you can say Dynamite and Rampage because Rampage really didn't exist in the non-CM Punk era. I think it's made them a more legitimate company. I think the perception that it has portrayed, I mean, you're flipping the channels. There's, not just people that were with WWE for a cup of coffee or with WWE and on the backside of their careers. You've got people that were WWE mainstays. You've got somebody that was in the main event of WrestleMania just this past year. You've got somebody who held your WWE championship for one of the longest reigns in the modern era. You've got WWE heavyweight. So I think that you get a sense of legitimacy for some casual fans, some lapsed fans that you didn't necessarily have prior to Punk and Danielson.
Now, the podcast is called Woo Nation Uncensored, hosted, along with Ric Flair, hosted by a controversial character from WCW days, Mark Madden.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Does Ric Flair, at this juncture, the branding of attaching Uncensored behind Ric Flair's name, is that really needed?
No, but, I mean, it's done because I'll be completely honest, and this isn't a slight to Ric Flair at all, but it is. His opinions on the business itself have been really tainted since the Dark Side of the Ring, when we saw very clearly he was out there as a company shill and he ran down Chris Kanyon. Ric Flair, I don't really know that I really care for your opinion. I'm going to quote here. Per Ric Flair, I think they'll go up, but to me, that show should never do less than a 1.1. If they get there once, bring in all this talent, and then go back under 1 million, there's something wrong. Rick, it's not about a 2-hour show's rating. It's about the Q rating when that talent is on TV. Secondly, if Daniel Bryan is back there as a coach, working with the guys, elevating these other guys, it's not going to show in the ratings. They're not brought in specifically for ratings. These guys, I'm not quite sure that I really buy those.
Well, the way that I look at it, especially with him kind of towing that line, it sounds like he's trying to put an opinion out there that is going to hopefully get him back in the good graces of WWE.
Or get him a job somewhere.
Yeah, and my goodness, I don't know the polarizing figure that Mark Madden is. If it's a great
radio legend. I mean, before WCW, before he was actually a commentator on WCW, he was a local Pittsburgh radio guy, and I wouldn't throw Mark into this. Mark is there because Mark's doing another show, and that's okay. I have zero opinion on that, left or right, but it's the Ric Flair statement thrown out there to get people like ourselves and people like our listeners here to talk about what Ric Flair said.
My goodness, you give me a Ric Flair John Madden show, I'm listening every week.
Hey, now here's a guy that went woo, woo, woo.
I mean, honestly, man, I'd probably even take that Mark Madden impersonator doing a show with Flair each week.
Mark Madden impersonator or the John Madden impersonator?
Oh, yeah.
Side note, folks, for those that don't know, Frank Caliendo, who's the Mark Madden, or now you got me doing it, who's the John Madden impersonator, does Charles Barkley. Oh, that's terrible. Frank Caliendo from Waukesha, Wisconsin, home of Blizzard Brawl.
well, the rate that Blizzard Brawl is going now, he might as well be there, man. There's like 1,700
He might get announced
people.
too.
He's like 1,700 people on the Blizzard Brawl card, man. Right. It is absolutely insane.
But you segued into what I wanted to talk about next, which is Blizzard Brawl. A couple more names added to Blizzard Brawl. You thought we had a packed show and that it's already almost sold out. More are coming. Mr. Anderson, Ken Anderson, Ken Anderson. What else did he go by? He went by
Mr. Kennedy.
Kennedy from TNA, former 2-time Impact champion, by the way. Also, Earl Hebner will be in the building as well. And we are going to have the announce team from OVW calling the matches. So this show is humongous.
Now, absolutely. It's almost easier at this point to list who in the wrestling industry is not on the card than even announce the card. And I'm afraid. Oh, yeah, that is true. Somebody needs to call Dave and talk to him about that, because I think there's definitely a missed opportunity there. But now I'm afraid we might get just winded talking about just even running down the card now, man.
We'll I'm not sure the show's long enough. On it. All right. So I got one more note from Raw on Monday night. Austin Theory has taken the place of Rey Mysterio on Team Raw for the Survivor Series.
Good. I think that what you can do with Survivor Series and the incarnation that it is, I think that, the traditional match still means something, and getting young talent on your respective brands teams is a move you can make to mean something. So good on them for putting Austin Theory there.
Twofold. One, I'm okay with it. Austin Theory needs to get on there, get over. Secondly, it doesn't make any damn sense, because the week before we had Scrap Daddy say, I need former world champions on this team. I want Raw to win. Here's Austin Theory. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
No, but then there's a lot of stuff that doesn't.
Let's talk about NXT last night. Segue perfect again. Thank you. NXT 2.0, Matthew. I'm not going to go match by match, segment by segment, but I have to ask you just a blind question. What the hell are we watching? Right. And I'm glad I asked you before we went on the air so you could formulate something, but what the hell?
A company that is trying to take a product that was critically acclaimed and got beat in the ratings by AEW, basically burn it from the ground down and say, oh, this product that got beat by AEW, that's not this product. That doesn't exist anymore. I honestly think that is the root of this whole thing, is the fact that they could not accept that they lost in their head-on competition. Go back. Which
was never meant to be competition.
Right. They were the ones who did it. They went and counter-programmed to AEW. And I think it was, under the mindset of, oh, you're not competing with our main roster. Okay, there's no competition for your main roster. This is competition for NXT. They lost, moved nights, and said, oh, that thing that got beat doesn't exist anymore. I think that's what you've got right here. This is quintessentially, what they. And here's the question I've got to ask you: Is this the product that got a deal on USA? Because right now you're going a developmental, in about as true a sense of the word, product with a TV deal. It's you're going away from that established independent talent to.
I'll counter that. I'll counter that though. It doesn't matter, because they get the product proper that they had made the deal for on Tuesday nights. They pay extra for the NXT. So it's not that bad. They're getting, remember, it's not about the product as much as about selling the advertising spots. And the advertisers don't know what they're watching. Yeah. They're just watching wrestling. So they're catering to wrestling fans.
Yeah. It's very confusing what you're watching. Occasionally it'll feel like kind of a children's My First Wrestling Show, WWE Junior, but then you have some obscenity laced lines or something.
Exactly. A lot of ball talk, a lot of wiener talk last night.
That shoots that. So is this my question then to you? Is this what do they think they're going after a segment of like a teen audience or something?
I don't know, but I'm uncomfortable with them going after teens saying balls and wieners.
As well you should be.
Yeah, Dexter Loomis had a pretty cool looking picture that said that Tony D'Angelo sleeps with the fishes. I enjoyed it. That's really what I got from that. He had his hand hurt, which costed oh my God, I can't even think of her name right now. I'm just so flustered by Indy Hartwell. Yes, I'm so flustered by the product that I can't even think straight. Yeah. They set up the Cameron Grimes do cuts and poker showdown in a ring. This may be, and I know I'm speaking hyperbole here, this may be the worst segment of television I've ever watched.
I think something that really steered it that way to me is the fact that they legitimized it by showing the hand of each competitor on the screen, that they tried to make it this legitimate poker.
They tried to make it the World Poker Tour on Bally Sports after the Brewers game. Yeah. And it could have still worked because all you had to do is have that deck lined up. You had that, if you pre-planned a segment, you have the cards lined up, right? And everybody's going to do this, 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 and this. Matter of fact, when they went to the river or after the river, the flop after it, I'm like, it's going to be a queen or ace. Okay, there we go. It was the queen. All right, next one's either going to be ace or, just so they could play this. But one hand, it sucked. And dude, he was yelling. Why was he yelling?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think that they're looking at this and they're like, you know what? Let's do let's create the next barbershop window segment. That's what this is going to be.
It's not. It's not. I'm not going to spend any more time on it. Honestly, I've got to move on. We had Tommaso Ciampa come out. And Tommaso Ciampa got 2 segments last night, which is more than he usually gets. Yeah. Tommaso Ciampa came out, again, talking about wieners or hot dogs or, hot dogs in a suitcase or whatever he was talking about. And Braun Breaker came out. Braun Breaker came out and says, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Hey, kid, I beat you already. It didn't make sense. He's got to come out with something different than that. Because, literally, there was nowhere to go other than what he did. If Tommaso's out there saying nobody can beat me, all these little wet behind the ears punk kids, Braun Breaker comes out and says what he would say if he never had the match. But he had the match and lost. Yeah. And he said the same promo again.
Not to circle back to a previous segment, but I think they played the Breaker Ciampa hand too soon.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I was very, I'm going to give you a positive. I was very digging the Carmelo and what's his partner's name? The angle of them up on the stage, up above the fans. I like the little ring action there.
Yeah, there's some bright spots.
Trick Williams,
and there's a lot of talent in that company. It's the production of what we're seeing and what they're being given on a weekly basis. Yeah,
when they're wrestling, when it's actually wrestling in the ring, it's good. I'm okay, right? It's the hot garbage that's around it. MSK in the airport touching each other's lips, saying shh. Yeah. Grizzled young veterans conning their grandma. Stop. It's dumb.
I think this could have worked 30 or 40 years ago. And I think it's people in charge. They're trying to put something new out there. They're trying to go back to a well that a lot of people hold with a very nostalgic feeling. The problem is the last 30 or 40 years.
It's empty.
It happened. And that's stuff that people look back with nostalgia for. Trying to adopt that type of storytelling in professional wrestling right now, after, the business has been, the only word I can think of is exposed, but internally exposed.
Well, it's a term that people have talked to you about a few times that you got to knock it
off. Yeah. I hear that word a lot, but, the WWE, it's different. We're told this is something different than we were told 30 or 40 years ago. And so a lot of that stuff that you did then, it cannot work now.
See, you know what though? One of them would work. If one character, if one team was doing that, it would work. That's a company directive, not just a one character's directive. Yeah. If MSK were the only ones doing it, it'd be funny maybe, but everybody's doing it. The clap back thing, all of it. Everyone's doing it.
Yeah. And I have much more of an Impact Zone feel with the crowd now than I ever did in NXT prior to this.
Right. It's not real. I feel it's fake.
Yeah.
They need to get out in front of somebody else for one, and two, they need to. I can't even go there. Hey, tonight on Dynamite, tonight's the night, Matthew. Grandma's coming out of the library and she's coming down to the building. She's going to celebrate with her grandson, Hangman Adam Page, the new AEW champion.
So Hangman Page, I don't know if you got a chance to check out the memo that he released after winning the title, but tomorrow is apparently official Cowboy Shit Day in Norfolk, Virginia. So Cowboy Shit will be happening at that arena there in Norfolk, and get ready for a great moment. You got to think they're going to open the show with Hangman coming out to an absolute deafening crowd there. And who knows how much you want to bet Grandma is actually there, huh?
Oh, she's got to be there, ringside. You got to open the show with it. You got to let the building echo out for a good 30 seconds, kind of like they did with Punk before Punk debuted. Yeah. Cowboy shit. They got to let that just echo out. Serenade him, crown his ass. It's time.
And, I know we had one of the greatest moments in wrestling with Punk premiering. I know Bryan Danielson, we've had great moments in AEW, but I think this very easily could be what happened Saturday night and what happens to start the show off tonight could very well be the most important moment for AEW, because
for the next year, absolutely.
Yeah, this is as close to homegrown as they have produced. This is not a former WWE person coming in winning your title. This is not, and I mean, I know Hangman's got a history in Japan, but I don't feel like he is associated with other promotions like Omega was. I think this is AEW's biggest homegrown victory.
It's almost comparative to Goldberg and WCW. It's their guy.
Yeah.
Speaking of PWR draft, which you didn't mention, but I am. And speaking of tag teams in AEW,
did somebody pick up Goldberg? Is that what you're announcing? You're picking up Goldberg?
No. We had mentioned that the draft totals as of the end of Full Gear were the man they call Meathead 2580, Linda Kay at 2450, and Matthew Thomas at 2090.
Oh yeah.
There's a change in the points.
Yes.
A move has been made. Linda Kay has dropped the Young Bucks, losing 50, putting her down to 2,400, and she's picking up those guys that have been down since day one-ish. It's the Usos.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Linda. But the take-home message there, the bullet point is Matthew Thomas gets a step closer with that move. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Linda Kay dropping the Young Bucks and picking up the Usos just in time for the pay-per-view this Sunday. Keep an eye on the socials. There might be some movement here. Again, our roster's lock the day after Royal Rumble, so we'll have to see what kind of movement we have here. Again, the total's now 2,580 for the team they call Meatheads, 2,400 for Team Longtime, and 2,090 for Team Matt Della. Did I say that right?
Team Nelson Matt Della.
Nelson Matt Della. I forget about Damian Nelson once in a while. We're going to see him soon, so.
Yes, we are. You know what? Maybe we'll have to see if we can get some official Team Nelson Mandela gear made for both of us, huh? Maybe we could be twins for Blizzard Brawl.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, but it's a great thought. Hey, so for Matthew Thomas, the man they call Meathead, hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.